work on the G37. I want to get the rear suspension fully done, so I'm doing the rear springs, I'm doing rear shocks, and I'm doing rear shock mounts. Going with KYB for all the shocks and mounts, and then for the springs I went with Swift. So it should come out nice. My rear tire, one of them is still bad, so I have to get a new tire. These are the Swift springs I'm going with. They're a 4N908 is the part number on the springs I'm going with for rear wheel drive. If you're all wheel drive, I believe it's a 907. It's the part number for the rear shock mounts. This is the part number for the shocks for the rear on the rear wheel drive. Some woods in front of the put in front of the tires so it doesn't roll. And I already have the e-brake on. My lugs are still loose because I did the end links and I knew I'm going to do suspension, so you're going to jack up the car and then loosen my lugs. If you didn't break your lugs loose yet, break them loose before you jack the car up. Wheel is off now, and got to get this bolt out right here, which is a 17mm. So this bolt got to come out to change the spring, and this bolt right here is another 17mm, and that's for the shock. And then up there you've got two 12mm nuts that holds the shock in there, and that's pretty simple to change all this. So put a jack under here to support here for the spring bucket, and then I'm going to loosen this 17mm bolt right here. There, now that's supported. I'm going to hold the nut on the other side with a 17mm flat wrench, and then we'll loosen it. Socket on this end. Gonna lower the jack now. So I'll push this down and pull the spring out of there. And you also pull out the upper spring isolator. Alright, this is our upper spring isolator. Your spring has to sit in these grooves, so you know it goes back right there, the end goes right there. And take your lower one off. The spring can only go one way. It has to sit back right there. I'm just going to clean these up because they're pretty dirty. And then put a little bit of super lube on it, suspension grease, and then put it back in there and install the new spring with it. Got our new Swift spring right here and our old spring right here. Not using this anymore. Put that to the side. Need to reuse our upper and lower insulators. So these are cleaned up pretty good now. I'm going to be putting some fresh grease on these where the spring sits, just to keep everything quiet. Put the lower insulator on. Can't really mess it up. It fits right there. Then goes right against that stock. And the upper one, same thing. Can't really mess up, you just line it all up. Now, so I put it in just like this. It's all together. Just gotta push the lower part down. Once you have the spring in there, make sure the spring end is lined up with the groove on the upper one. Make sure the spring is lined up in the groove, the end of the spring is lined up with the groove in the bottom insulator as well. So you jack up the spring bucket and line these holes, gotta line back up with the bushing right here. You want to line up as best as you can just to slip this bolt through and to get your nut back on. Get this hole lined up as close as you can and then get your bolt in there. Went a little too much, so you gotta go back down a little. There you go, I got the bolt in there. So I'm gonna put my hand on the other side, put it and push the bolt through. And I pry it in there. And there, I got it in enough that it's gonna come through now. So I'm just gonna use the ratchet on the other side and screw it in. Alright, I'm gonna put a little bit of thread locker on it, some blue thread locker. Catch the nut back on. Now I'm just going to torque this bolt down to 54 foot-pounds. And that's it for the spring. Torque once again is 54 foot-pounds for this bolt. Be replacing the shock. So I'm removing this 17mm nut right here. Jack it up right here to take the tension off of the shock bolt. So I'm just jacking it up until the bolt will come free without any effort. There it goes. Got the bolt out. I just jacked it up until the bolt was able to slip out easy. And I'll leave the jack on there so the new one will be pretty easy to go in. There are two 12mm nuts, and those you need a long extension and a ratchet to get those out. That's what I got. I got some extensions, 12mm deep socket, and my ratchet. It shouldn't be that hard to break loose. That one was easy. Your whole shock assembly should just come out now. So maneuver it out there. Pull our cap off. These shocks are not that strong. They're definitely worn out. I'm going to be trying to get off this nut next, and I'm trying out this shock absorber tool. I've never used it before, so I'm trying it right now. Put the black part on, then you find what piece fits on this to hold it. This one fits the best, so I'm going to use this one. Before I do anything, let me spray it with some penetrating fluid. Put my tool on it. That piece there. That piece there. Use a 7/8 and a 1/2 inch. Let's try to loosen this with this tool here. This is broken loose. It was actually pretty easy. This would probably be much harder without the tool. And there you go. Nut is off. Pull the top off. Gonna have to reuse all of this. You may be reusing your original mount. On the other hand, I'm going to replace the mount. It's not bad. It seems fine still, but I'm gonna replace it anyways. We'll take this gasket and use it back. I'm gonna compress it. Oh yeah, this one's way harder to compress. I can't even compress it. Put that on there. And push that through. Mount. I'm gonna put grease on it so it goes on easier. It's back on. There it goes, it's back on. My new lock nut. Gonna put a little bit of thread locker on it. So put that on there. Put our tool back on. Pull that there. And tighten it on. This is the best technique I've got. Works pretty good. This needs to torque down to 22 foot-pounds. So, which isn't much at all. So I'm just gonna guesstimate it. 'Cause that's not even that much. That should be more than enough. I put this gasket back on there. I'm gonna keep this as a backup because it's actually still good. Almost forgot, you gotta put your cap back on. So push that back up on there. So I'm gonna have to reuse the old nuts. I'm just gonna put thread locker on it. The side with the nut goes towards the front of the vehicle, so it goes in like this. I'm gonna push your top up in there. Send it around. And let me try to get this in there now and catch the two nuts. Extension. Nut on it. Catch one nut at a time. Torque on these two shock nuts are 21 foot-pounds. That's two. Before I put the shock bolt back on, I'm going to put thread locker on this as well. Gotta get it lined up as best as you can. Let's slip this through there. The jack is still in place, so it kept everything in place. I never removed it, so now I'm able to just slip the bolt in there and tighten it down. The torque for this 17mm shock bolt is 91 foot-pounds. There it goes, torque. I'm gonna be putting, these are 275s. I'm gonna be swapping in some 285s because the other tire is no good. So I was just gonna get one replacement, but instead I just decided to do a slight upgrade to 285s. And I'll torque these wheels to 80 foot-pounds once I jack the car down. First I gotta do the other side. They're the stock struts that I took off and definitely bad. They're out right now, but push them in and they'll come back out eventually. The new ones come out right away. Cleaned up everything with some brake parts cleaner. Any fingerprints and grease. The rear is all done and this is how it's looking right now. That's how it's sitting right now. This is the front before I do it, so I don't want to start the fronts now and then it'll get dark, so I'll leave it till another good day. The rears are sitting pretty low now, and that's with the 275 tire. I'm going to be putting on a 285.